How's it going, everyone? My name is Alex and I'm a paintball addict. Today we're going to be doing the maintenance video on my DLX Luxe X. We're going to be going over the bolt, how to clean the detents and eyes, and as well as how to clean out the reg. This is going to be something you want to do after every day of play, up into about every 10 cases depending on what part we're going to go over. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the camera down to a better angle and get started taking the bolt out and cleaning this thing. Alright, so we got the DLX Luxe X here. This is the HK Army Ripper edition. In order to clean this, what we're going to need is our Allen keys that was supplied with the marker, as well as the DLX Luxe grease. This is also known as Smart Parts Sleek. I also use Hater Marmalade for the regs. It's a little bit of a stickier grease, so it tends to last a little bit longer. Finally, we're going to want some Q-tips for cleaning out the eyes and the detents. And you may need like an O-ring pick or something to get onto this latch, because it is kind of hard if you don't have fingernails like me. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to maintenance the bolt. Simply lift up on the latch, and I use my finger down the feed neck to kind of push it backwards out. You can just pull it straight out. Sometimes it gets sticky. Set that to the side. Grab my towel here. First thing I'm going to do is just wipe down the outside of the bolt here. Get all the old lube off, any dirt, debris, dust, sand, dirt, mud, paint. And we're going to pull off the front of the bolt. You're going to want to do this after every single time you play, and this is just quick maintenance. So the can unscrews, and you can go ahead and push the bolt out from the can. Set those to a side. And now if you're just doing this for a normal day of play, what you would do is wipe down the O-rings on your front shaft, wipe down the two O-rings on the back of the bolt as well as the front of the bolt. You will notice if you're shooting GI paint, this is where a lot of the fuzz likes to build up, like the lint from the paint. And let's get the front of the can. So again, if you're just doing like after a normal day of play, you would lube up these two O-rings, lube up the two on the back, and lube up the one on the inside of the can, screw it back together. But because I'm doing a full maintenance on this bolt, we're going to hold off on that for now. And what we'll do is pull the center section off from the back cap. See, it comes out like that. And here's our spool. We can set the center section to the side. Actually, I'll set this up kind of like how it goes. And this is our spool. Now, I've only cleaned this once since owning it. You can see it is kind of dirty. It's not horrible, but let's go ahead and wipe off all this extra grease here. Clean it up real nice. A little bit of paint in there, it looks like. And we'll get the front of the spool. I like to do a full breakdown on this. Every 10 cases. It's about how much I've got through this gun so far. Set that aside. And we'll clean off the inside of our back cap. Now there is one more piece inside the back cap, and that's called the shuttle. Let's see. And what we got to do to get that out is just simply we can place our spool back in, kind of hold it at an angle as we pull. And what will come out is the shuttle and spring. So I'm going to leave the spring intact. We don't really need to mess with that. What I'm going to do is clean the O-rings off here and clean the front face of the shuttle. I'm looking for any debris, any paint in there, anything that looks out of the ordinary. All the O-rings look good. There's no scratches on them, so we're good there. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is clean out the inside of the back cap where the shuttle sits. Take a Q-tip and just run that down in there. It actually looks pretty clean, so I'm not too worried about that at this point. What we'll do is clean off all the O-rings on the shuttle itself. And inspect it for any damage, which this looks good. Take a little bit of our grease, and I'm going to be using the stuff that came with it on this. Just the Smart Parts grease, Dow 33. Doesn't need much, just a nice little coating on it, enough to fill the valleys and the cracks around the O-ring. Alright. And that simply gets dropped right down in. Careful not to damage that spring when you're putting that in there. The next thing is the spool. What we'll do for this is just apply a nice thin amount of grease around the back, 2 O-rings, and there's 2 O-rings on the front that we will put a little bit of grease on. Alright, now that we have the shuttle down in the back cap, we'll simply take the spool and insert that in place, just like it was before. And you want to make sure that you're able to push down on it, and it's got some movement there. What we'll do then is go ahead and take our center cap and we'll thread that on. Just hand tight, no need to torque that down. And again, we want to make sure that we got a little bit of play in that spool. You can see the spool is able to move. We'll go ahead and grease up the 2 O-rings on our shaft here. Alright, next step is we will take the can and the bolt, get ready to put those 2 together. So you're going to take a little bit of grease here and put it on the back 2 O-rings on the bolt. Again, you don't need much, just a light coating here, because any extra or excess is just going to get shot right down the barrel. I do like to put a little bit on the tip and just very, very lightly coat the surface of the bolt. Go ahead and simply place that on with the 2 O-rings facing backwards. Obviously it only goes on one way. A little bit more grease on the inside O-ring of the can, and we'll thread that on. Be a little tight at first, that's because you're fighting that initial O-ring on the bolt, and you're good to go at that point. So last step is just get a little bit of grease on the exterior O-rings. This is just going to help it slide in and out of the gun easier. Put a little bit on the tip here. And that's how you service your Luxe X bolt. Set that aside real quick. And we'll cap up our grease. Next step will be to clean the detent and the eyes. Now there is a little lever on here. They're able to push and kind of hit the corner of the eye cover at the same time, and out comes your eye cover. Inside here you'll see your detents and your eyes. You want to be very careful when messing around with the eyes. You don't want to rip any wiring, hurt anything like that. But if you're breaking paint, go ahead and just clean off anything in here. This is actually really clean. This gun barely ever breaks paint. And if it does, it's usually a barrel break. To lift this eye out, it kind of sits on a peg. I'm just going to use a Allen key to lift it up. Maybe we'll grab some pliers here. And just very carefully pull the eye up so I can get in here. There is some GI Sports lint. Their paint just loves to leave this fuzz behind. So we'll just clean that out real quick. And take the eye, place it right back in place. You don't want to force it down, just set it nice and gently. And then go ahead and put your eye cover back on. Go ahead and do the same thing to the other side real quick. We'll push the latch and kind of wedge your finger under there. This side's the same, just as clean. Clean that out. Go ahead and lift this eye out, and just as suspected, a small amount of lint. If you're ever having an eye fault, I doubt it'll come up on camera, but just that little bit of lint there would be enough to cause an eye fault. So, it's nice and cleaned out. Take another Q-tip and just run it through there real quick. Go ahead and set the eye back in place. Go ahead and inspect our detent. The detent is the purple thing on the inside of the eye cover. Want to just make sure it's got free motion. Okay, so we got the eyes done. Let's go ahead and throw the bolt back in. Just slides back in just like that. And the final thing to do will be to maintain the regulator. So what we're going to do for that is just clean up our workspace real quick. And we'll grab, I believe, it's the 3/16 Allen key. Oh, quite a bit bigger than that. 5/16. Yep. So in here you have basically a plug cap. And simply want to unscrew it. Now you only want to just barely put the Allen key in, because if you go deeper than the length of this cap, you'll actually be unscrewing the regulator itself from the body, which would be jamming it up against the cap, and obviously that's going to cause an issue. So unscrew the cap here, put our thumb in, and we can pull out our regulator guard. Go ahead and clean any paint off that's going to be in there. Just a little bit here. Now with that same Allen key, go ahead and remove the regulator body. It's going to be that purple part inside there. A lot of screws on, or a lot of threads on this one. Alright. Regulator body will slide right out from the gun like that. And we can just clean out the threads, clean out the 2 O-rings on there. And using our needle nose pliers again, or whatever you have handy, go ahead and pull out your regulator piston. Set that aside. Our spring come out right behind that. And deep down in there, you have your reg adjuster. I'm not going to be pulling the reg adjuster out. Really, the only thing in there to service is going to be your reg seat, which is going to be every probably 50,000 to 100,000 cases. Or, sorry, shots, not cases. But you're going to know if you have an issue with your reg seat because it'll be leaking. And this gun's not leaking, so there's no need to touch that. Go ahead and wipe off the grease from our regulator. And wipe off the grease on this spring. Take our hater sauce, the hater marmalade. You can see this is a lot thicker. It's like a thick ass jelly. And we'll take that and spread it all over the reg piston. Definitely don't need as much of this because it is so thick. I'm also going to put a nice little coating on the bottom of the regulator piston, and that'll help with getting on the reg seat. Take our spring, slide it back on, and we'll slide this down into the reg body. And because it's less expensive, I'm not going to be using this on the reg body itself. I'll switch back to the Smart Parts Sleek or Dial 33 and just put a light coating on the regulator body. 2 O-rings on there. Go ahead and cap this up. Fingers are all slippery now. Alright, go ahead and take your reg body, fish it up through the grip, the front foregrip, and hand tight. No need to crank this down. You don't want to be hurting nothing, stripping out any threads. I just like to go till it stops and then just a tiny bit. So it stopped, and like barely anymore. Take our front cover, just slides up and in. Go ahead and hold that in place while you drop the retaining nut in. And this just gets hand tight. No need to crank that down. And that's it. We've just serviced our complete DLX Luxe X. There's nothing really else to go through this. The next thing I'll do is I'll throw it on the battery charger. In order to do that, you just simply pull off the grip and you got your USB-C charger right there. So I'll just plug it in and be good to go. Clean any little bit of paint off in there. But yeah, super easy to maintain, super simple, very, very easy gun to maintain. I do this about every 10,000 shots, every 5 to 10 cases or so, and to keep your DLX Luxe X or HK Army Ripper X up and running. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and please subscribe. Catch you on the next video.